So we're looking at, do the E's and O's link appropriately, and are there too few or too many? So if we're looking at the planning sheet, the E's and O's are alongside the learning intentions. So for example, if we just take the section on moksha, it's got 4A, 4B, 4C and 9A. But if we look at the range of tasks that are covered, we're looking at a teacher-led lesson on reincarnation, karma and moksha. That's kind of setting the scene.
I say when we were actually doing the planning anyway, we were looking at the E's and O's and do the actual tasks hit the E's and O's as well, you know. So and if you look at even just 304A and link it to there, you would say that we've kind of included most of that in throughout the unit, throughout this unit anyway. Regarding whether there's too few or too many, we're not assessing them all anyway, so we're just hitting some of them. The actual content of the unit, in my own view, is that it's going to be hitting on lots of the E's and O's anyway because of the nature of our world religion. But we're only focusing on. We don't want to focus on too many anyway because we'd never get through it, you know. And there's 3 years of BGE, and we've got different units where we can hit these or go into these E's and O's in more depth.
And there's a clear link between the E's and O's that we've selected here. So you're seeing the development of the learning. So going from the language of investigating and reflecting upon to then being able to explain a range of beliefs and then going on to discuss it then and to actually participate in debate. So you're seeing how you can group maybe 2 or 3 E's and O's together and you can cover quite a lot within these E's and O's within maybe one unit or a couple of linked activities. So I think it's helpful to put them together, and I think the number we've put into the planning is about right. I think if we put in more, it would make it quite difficult to cover that within what we've planned here. And on the other hand, I think it's also good to group them together because they can, if you look at them just in isolation on their own, it's going to become a very difficult process trying to create something that's going to go through each individual experience and outcome.
So we're kind of hitting on to question 2 there because we're saying the learning intentions do reflect the skills, knowledge and understanding within the E's and O's. We've grouped them together and we've linked them appropriately to the experiences and outcomes.
Yeah, well, even if you just look at the first one here on moksha and reincarnation and the cycle of life, it's not just knowledge. We're looking at skills and understanding. They're asked to consider the difficulties in breaking the cycle of life and so on. So they're looking at analytical skills and rather than just knowledge as well. So we certainly hit on skills here that they require later in the BGE and further up the school as well. It's not just about understanding and knowledge. So I would say that the learning intentions are reflecting what's required, or in the E's and O's in this section anyway. So
and I'm happy with the learning intentions as well because they're very focused and very clear. So I think it's important that a student, when they're progressing through the work, when they're investigating, researching, producing their own essays or producing their own videos, whatever they're doing, that they're very clear on what the aim is. And I think the learning intentions here are very clear.
They're people friendly.
They're people friendly, that they can be used by the pupils.
And teacher friendly.
And by parents as well, that you can say at a parents' evening, you can say this is what we were aiming to do, this is what they've achieved. So I think it's really important to have a very clear learning intention from the start.
So going on to the next question then, is there a range of learning experiences? Do learning experiences and teaching approaches support the intended learning at this level, and are they appropriately challenging? So
we just take them one at a time, maybe.
Yeah.
Is there a range of learning experience as well? Certainly with given a fair level of autonomy within our classrooms, and we all approach things differently, but you can see even from the evidence that's required, there's different there's going to be a lot of learning, different styles of learning to produce that type of evidence, and the tasks as well. There's group tasks, more individual tasks. There's reflective tasks. There's group discussion tasks. There's creative tasks. So I would say that it's a bit of everything that's there. So
yeah, so we're definitely happy that there's a range of experiences. It'd be fair to say that they do support the intended learning, because the learning intentions come directly from the E's and O's. So the tasks are there to ensure that the learners are meeting these, that are able to achieve these learning intentions. So I would say that the tasks do support the intended learning at that level, especially because we're looking at levels 2 and 3, and all the the variations you can have even within a level.
And even jumping back to the range of learning experience, it's not all just classroom based. We have partners from within the community and coming in to share the pupils their take on things as well.
Yeah.
So
I think the other thing that's important is when we're looking at different types of tasks, is that we're thinking about how is this going to help the students when they go on further on in the school, and also when they go on to think about life outside school, further study and careers as well. And I think what's good here is that you've got a range of different tasks that actually reflect real life situations and real life tasks. So you will be in situations in life where you are listening to a panel of people and having to make decisions, where you're having to analyse responses. It's also very common now that you'll have presentations. To produce a presentation at an interview for a job, that you have good skills in relation to media, using technology. So I think all these tasks, it's important that we're focusing the pupils on why these skills that they will develop and learn, that they can use them outside school, and that the real life contexts that we're using.
Yeah,
So and it's very much related to the career standard, where they are able to. I can, these kind of things, and the health and well-being. A lot of the, it's not just the RMEs and those that we're hitting here as well.
that's right. Yeah.
I think it's also a good driver for motivating the pupils as well, because if they feel it's something that they can use later on in life,
I can see the purpose of my learning.
And I think it's fair to say that they are appropriately challenging, because they're set according to the two levels. We've got the level 2 and level 3 outcomes beside each learning intention. So they're tasks that the learner can respond to as well as they can. So they can respond to it at level 2 or level 3 or even level 4.
And there's also a degree of teacher responsibility here as well, in ensuring that a pupil who is able to produce a more challenging piece of work, that we make sure that that they're doing that, rather than just hitting the minimum, of what's required.
The last question: is the proposed assessment of learning appropriate? Well, the assessment is coming from the tasks that are set within there. The only thing I would have reservations about in this planning document is the section on humanism, because it's kind of uncharted territory for us, and there are no specific E's and O's identified for non-religious responses, but there are E's and O's there about a Scottish identity. We need to be careful that that we are hitting the right level when we're assessing this. But I think there's a range of tasks there to be done, and we've identified evidence to be collected, looking at the relevance of humanist celebrants in Scottish society, and I think
possibly further up the BGE, you know, when we're maybe in third year as well, you know, when we're looking at, go back to the old phrase, was it stances for living that they used to use as well, you know, when we're talking about secular views on certain moral issues, certain religion, certain social issues and certain moral issues. So we do actually bring it in, but as you say, it's kind of uncharted territory for us or not.
But I think it is appropriate, the way we've set it out.
And again,
using a range of tasks to collect evidence.
We're continually developing our assessment and our assessment evidence. We just have to regularly moderate it ourselves, that this, somebody came up with, is it okay to use this as BGE assessment evidence, then we just have to, you know, in our moderation meetings, just go back and say yeah or no, it doesn't meet the, it doesn't hit the E's and O's that we need to cover.
And I think as well, as far as the everybody has moved away from having a written test to assess things, because we've got such different, we're teaching individuals, not classes, so it's important that we're providing an assessment that's appropriate for each pupil. And I think the evidence that we're requiring for these E's and O's is appropriate in that way, because we can cater to different pupils' strengths.
And it's important that we continue to develop and moderate our assessment evidence as well, so that it's not all the same for the next 8 years.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
I think it's also important that you're able to maybe adapt the topics depending on what's topical at a time as well, or something that you maybe want to look at a particular time in the year. So I think that flexibility can be there within the planning. You can move things around, just that it's very reflective of our community and society in Scotland today.
And I think the trick is to have assessment evidence as flexible and a degree of autonomy within the classrooms, as long as it meets the benchmarking standards.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Okay.